you guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Classified Lady with me, Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. And today I'm solo, and that's okay. Sometimes you're going to see me with some folks, and sometimes it's just me. And yeah, today is one of those days. I'm excited really to be talking through some things. And more importantly, today, I want to talk about the importance of self care. And my motto is self care isn't selfish, it's necessary, right? And we hear all these things about self care, and, you know, we see a lot of what self care looks like to other people. But I want to talk about self care from the perspective of who you are as a person. Um, in order for you to really, you know, exercise self care, right? You really need to think about the things about yourself that make you uniquely you. It's not about this thing or that thing and this spa day and that spa day and, whatever to get. It's what makes you uniquely you. What things can you do for you that nurture you, right? Filling up your well is necessary. That's self care, right? So, to ensure that I am, functioning at my best, even when I'm not, even when I'm not, right? I I have found that it's necessary for me to make time. I carve time for me, and I don't have a routine, and that's okay. I think that we have gotten to a point in our lives where there's an expectation that we should have a routine. It has to be this, this, and this. And that's okay. There's a place for routine, but I believe that sometimes we can get so inundated with routines and checklists and this and that that we miss the beauty of whimsy. We miss the beauty of what it is to just play it by ear. And when we become so structured, that's when we suck fun and life out of ourselves, right? I used to um, be that person, but then I think that because of so much criticism, I became super structured. And I don't think that the criticism was meant to be harmful. I think that sometimes people share feedback to help. But I think that when we don't honor the uniqueness of other people just because they're different, they flow different, they, move different, they talk different, they approach life differently. It doesn't mean that who they are is wrong. And just because you don't understand or may not understand why they are the way that they are, doesn't mean that we can't honor that. And I believe that sometimes in our efforts to help people be better, we contribute to parts of that person that make them uniquely them, that bring the life out of them. We contribute to that part dying. Um, and so much of me has died over the years. And I, again, grow with growth, there is a dying process, right? Because in order to make room for the new, something got to go. But I believe that the unique essence of who we are should never die, right? And so I am a big kid at heart, in a lot of ways. My sister says it like this: her bark is worse than her bite, right? In some ways, and in other ways, it's please, right? Please. But the things that make Latanya Latanya, um, I'm learning that in this season of pouring back into myself, I'm learning to recapture the things that made me me, that made me unique, that may have made other people uncomfortable, But in allowing myself to change so much to not necessarily fit in, but to get ahead, um, to play within the system, color within the line, so to speak, especially as a Black woman, um, it hurt me in a lot of ways, right? It stifled the creativity in me because that uniqueness, that whimsy, that part, those parts of me that, had to grow up and be an adult and be responsible and this and that. And um, people didn't see where there was a place for it, caused great harm to the better parts of me. And so I think that a lot of times when it comes to, again, self care, it's acknowledging who you are, what makes you uniquely you, and honoring those parts of you. And sometimes that might mean, you know what, I'm just going to stand up for myself, advocate for myself. Sometimes self care is advocating for yourself, right? It's having conversations and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I don't accept that. No, just no, right? And that's okay. It's putting yourself first in whatever that looks like. That might be, I'm going to the movies. That might be, I'm going to get a pedicure or a massage, my hair, a facial. It might be, I'm just going to go for a walk. It might be a staycation. It might be, I'm just going to go sit by the water. It might be journaling. It might be, I'm just going to lay in the bed, rub my feet together and relax. It might be curling up with a nice hot, steaming hot cup of hot cocoa or hot tea or a glass of wine or, whatever, right? It is what, September, today is September 10th. I just told my mom the other day I'm about to pull out my Christmas stuff. Why? You know what? I don't care. I don't care. My sister Lisa's Christmas tree stays up year round. You know what? I don't. You know what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Christmas. It's Christmas time, as far as I'm concerned. I don't do fall decorations and all that stuff. And so self care is whatever for you. And so when people say, why y'all can't just let fall happen and why y'all always got to go to Christmas, leave people alone. Because you are not that person. You don't know what they need to bring out that whimsy and the joy in their heart. And for a lot of people, Christmas is it. We're going to deck the halls early. We're going to get in the spirit and the mood early. Why? Because that's what we want to do. So we want to do. I have a topiary that stays out year round that's very Christmas like, but it's not really Christmassy. I'm inspired by peacocks, and so I also like shiny stuff. So I like plants. I'm not overly crazy to where every inch of the house is covered in plants. No. But yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to get me another plant. So what? I feel like I need one right here in this corner, so I'm gonna get me another plant. So what? So what? You want to know why? Because that fills my cup. That fills my cup. Making sure the front of my house look good. So when I walk up, or if I choose to sit outside, I can enjoy what I'm looking at. I can enjoy my space. Filling my cup is just that. Sometimes filling my cup looks like, you know what? I don't owe you nothing, right? I think that when we talk about self-care as well, it's also all the things that you need to put in place, i.e., I'm talking about boundaries that make other people uncomfortable. Recently, I've been, having experiences with people. And listen, when it comes to your intuition, women, especially Black women, don't ignore it. You feel what you feel, it's in there. It ain't steering you wrong. And I've been feeling like, people, especially in this age of the internet, and folks have a lot of audacity, and they saying it with their whole chest, the totality of it. And I'm coming with that same energy, right? But I'm noticing that, around me, people feel entitled to my vulnerability. And my answer is no. I don't owe you my vulnerability. And if you doing for me or being my friend or whatever it is contingent upon me sharing my vulnerability with you, you can keep moving. It's okay. I don't need it and I don't want it. The blessings of the Lord make you rich and add no sorrow. And to me, sharing my vulnerability with just anybody and everybody, that's sorrowful to me because trust is earned. And people feel like, oh, just because God said this, God said that, I'm supposed to just blindly trust you. I am a Gen X. I grew up in the era of stranger danger. Stranger danger. I never forgot that. Latchkey kid situations. I'm blessed because I didn't have to be a latchkey kid. I went to my grandma's house. I had somewhere to go. I had someone to love me, and all of the grands. There was no latchkey with us. But I had a lot of friends at the time. You kids, everybody your friend, right? That I went to school with who were latchkeys. Everybody didn't have that safe space. So growing up, I knew what a safe space was, what it looked like, and what it's like to create that for other people. And so I think that with future generations along the way, we've lost that. And so for me, older generations are like side eyeing the behaviors and the decisions of newer generations because it's like, wait a minute, weren't you taught stranger danger? We take for granted some things, right? And y'all go, well, what does this have to do with self care? It's in the boundaries and protecting yourself and understanding that you don't owe anybody anything. You owe it to yourself to love, value, and appreciate you. And what does that look like for Latanya right now? Latanya loving herself, valuing herself, appreciating herself looks like boundaries. It looks like me saying no. I talked to my cousin the other day, and that's one of the things we talked about. No. No's a full sentence. No. Not showing up. Can you do this? Can you? No. And it's okay to say no. Even if I'm available, the answer is still no. I'm not available for that. You want to know why? I don't owe you that. I don't owe you my time. I don't owe you my availability. Um I don't owe you intimacy like that. I don't owe anybody anything. I owe it to myself to honor me and honor my time because people absolutely don't honor your time. So for me, self care looks like what do I need to do to honor my time and my space and who I am. And if I just don't feel like doing it, I don't feel like doing it. If I don't want to show up, I don't want to show up. If I don't want to put makeup on, I'm not putting makeup on. Hence, 85 to 90% of the time, I'm not wearing makeup. The other thing is Latanya recognizing and stepping away from this idea of perfectionism because I've always been a person of excellence. Even when I was a little girl, it's got to be right. It's got to be this. It's got to be that, right down to my handwriting. I grew up in a household where you got to sit down. Yes, we had to practice our writing because writing was actually part of the curriculum. And so I was also taught the importance of your handwriting and why things matter, right? And what it says about you. And so for me, I've always been a person of excellence, and it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way. But sometimes that's also boxed me in and created moments of anxiety and suffocation because if it's not right, I won't pull the trigger on things. And some things need to happen in the right timing, and understanding that it don't have to be perfect because you can absolutely get to a point where you think everything has to be perfect, perfect, perfect. And it's not. There's no perfect being other than Jesus. And I'm not Jesus. And it's okay, right? Self care is also acknowledging that it's okay to be flawed. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be, to not have every T crossed and every I dotted. It's okay. It's okay to not be okay, you know? Um, like right now, my lighting keeps going in and out. Wanna know why? Because I'm not using a ring light. I'm using the natural light from outside. So the sun moves. Now, the perfectionist in me would stop, start over, set up the light, do this and do that, and da da da, and make sure it's perfect. But the Latanya that's on this healing journey recognizes the importance of flaws. And I think people need to see reality. The reality is lighting ain't always going to be right. It's not always going to be perfect. Reality is, this green screen going green screen. The reality is sometimes it's just not going to give. And that's okay. Because when we get stuck into everything got to be perfect, your teeth got to be white, got to be super white, got to be bright white. It's got to be this. You can't be missing nothing. It can't be crossed. You can't have an overbite. You can't have too much of a gap. This, that, the third. Your eyebrows got to be on point 24/7, 365. Absolutely not. You got to have that contour right, and it's got to be this. You got to have full beat all time. And if you're presenting yourself on the internet or any type of media, you got to be this, and this. And that's kind of like the old saying, make sure you always leave out the house with clean underwear on. So that way, if anything happened to you, at least your underwear clean, right? Here's the thing. Do we know what happens to the body when it's experienced trauma? When we pass away? Those once clean underwear are no longer clean. So a lot of the things that we've been taught, told, heard growing up doesn't make sense, and in many ways it's boxed us into some things that are not realistic. And I think that is part of this journey and the process of the evolution of who I am. And again, I've said it, come along on the ride with me as a Black woman working through the trauma of being a Black woman and some of the things that, have been said over the years as we grow, right? And so when it comes to self care as an adult, one of the things that we need to address is unresolved ACEs. And ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, right? And working through them. And sometimes working through them means making the conscious decision to move forward from them and accept that you might not get an apology and you might not get closure for different reasons. So, how do you find closure in some of those adverse childhood experiences, right? That's what the journey of healing is about. And accepting who you are. Because when you have adverse childhood experiences, it robs you of moments. It robs you, and you can't get that back. Sometimes you just can't get back what's been taken, especially when we're talking about time. There's no rewinding time and getting it back. There's no, as much as we might like it and want to, no, because those things have shaped us for better or for worse who we are. But when it comes to as an adult, how long do we hold on to those things and allow the people who did those things to us to hold us hostage? Because that's what we're doing. We're giving them a power and authority over our adult lives. And as an adult, we can make our own choices. And so those adverse childhood experiences shape a lot of the boundaries that we have or lack thereof. And so when it comes to self care, loving yourself, shaping your life and your environment, it's necessary to say, you know what? No, full stop. No, full stop. No, I don't owe you. Full stop. Because we are in a time of entitlement and expectation. And people are entitled to their expect. You can have expectations. It's part of your self-care. But here's what we have to remember is that our expectations should not spill over into other people to where now we are trying to control other people's lives because now we're doing to other people what we don't like doing. We don't like done to us. You know, it's the whole principle of do unto others as you would have. I grew up as that was the golden rule. I think that's Matthew 7:14, somewhere around in there, something like that. It wasn't quoted as a scripture. I just was raised do unto others as you would have done unto you. Don't do to other people what you don't want done to you. That's rule number one, right? And in the world of self care, infringing on other people because what you sow, you're going to reap. So when you infringe on other people, understand that that's a harvest that's going to come back to you at some point. So when it comes to self care, I am careful of how I treat other people, but I ensure that how I treat other people is more of a guiding principle of how I want to be treated. Now, once I establish how I want to be treated and people don't treat me that way, I move accordingly because I don't owe you loyalty. I don't owe you vulnerability. I don't owe you whatever it is you feel like I owe you in order for you to treat me the way that I've asked. And you don't get multiple chances of me asking or stating this is how I want to be treated. I'm not going to stay in that space because now I'm hurting me. Now I am the one who has to deal with the pain, the disappointment. And now, that's more weight on me rather than, okay, so now I'm accountable because I have allowed this behavior to go on, even though I've said, now I'm contradicting myself. Absolutely not. In this healing journey that I'm on, not accepting things anymore. I'm no longer saying, okay, I'm no longer compromising on my values and principles and certain things. No, I'm no longer giving more than necessary to others. Because here's the thing, you see it online all the time. It cycles back every so many weeks. It used to be months, now it's weeks. You know, you need boundaries. Givers need boundaries because takers don't know how to stop taking. And that is the truth. I love to love on people. I have a big heart. That's just not arrogant boasting. That's just who I am. I have a big heart. I love loving on people. I love serving and caring for people. And because again, it's a reflection of how I want to be treated, right? I love on people. I care about people and I want to see people win. But I've learned over the last few years that I can't no longer do that at the expense of Latanya. And I've been doing that for so long that my well became completely dry, bone empty, not even fumes. And when that happens, you're just not even operating on fumes. The question now becomes, who are you? And what have I allowed? When you start focusing on yourself and putting yourself first, because that's what self care really is, people start to get upset because you're no longer at a point where you are allowing yourself to be um, used, you know. And when I say used to the point of people want what's in your hand, but they don't want you. And when I discover that you want what's in my hand, but you don't want Latanya, you no longer get what's in my hand because this is a package deal. It's a package deal. And so, um, yeah, when I discover that you aren't a safe space because you got diarrhea of the mouth, move accordingly because I am. I'm moving around. Or you're moving weird, you're moving funny, and your expectation is this as if you are, somehow above me. And I start feeling like you feel like you're more superior. And I'm supposed to just submit to you for whatever reason that you think. See, the thing about in this healing journey, as especially as a Black woman, I don't have imposter syndrome. Not anymore. There was a point, especially right after I got my doctorate, and I think that this is normal. This is just me. I have not done the research on this. Um, but I do believe that, especially right after you get a credential like that, you earn your doctorate, you get that email to say congratulations, and that transcript says, woo, and you start stepping into it and you meet others who've been in that space and you're like, can I really? I've gone through the work, I've gone through the process, but can I stand up? Can I, and I, am I at that level? And then you start looking back and you look at your work and you talk to people and people are like, oh, you're such, yeah, you that work. Yeah, I'm that. I am that person. It's not a place of arrogance because when people start speaking stuff like that, it's more of a reflection of their discomfort, of their lack of qualifications and credentials, right? And in a way, they want to, again, a lot of people want to humble Black women. And as a Black woman in America, I have experienced that um, from those who don't look like me and from those who look like me, male and female. There is this, I don't understand it, this innate desire to want to humble Black women. But I will tell you in a minute, at this point in my life and in my career, I know what I know. And I got the evidence. And the proof is definitely in the pudding that I deliver and I get results. I am that woman, right? And to say that isn't arrogant and isn't cocky because I got the evidence. Because arrogance is not in my heart. It's not who I am. But in this in this season of healing to wholeness, I'm advocating more for myself and saying, what you're not going to do is, and that's self care. See, self care can be all the beautiful things, the spa treatments and the this and the that. It can be all those things. It's also boundaries, it's also advocating for yourself. It's also taking a step back and saying, you don't want me, you want what's in my hand. So I'm going to take what's in my hand away too. And see, collectively, we're seeing that because everybody want to know where Black women at. First of all, now y'all, where Black women at, where Black women now is why Black folks ain't out here with us. No, 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 we didn't do this. We didn't get America where we are right here because folks don't want to listen to Black folks. And we don't understand that when Black people win, everybody win. You want the magic of a Black woman, but you don't want Black women. Make that make sense. Because when it's all said and done, it's almost always a Black woman pulling folks out of a mess. And I'm telling you, that weight and that burden is no longer something that we're doing. And I, especially, am saying, no, no. So if you're on this healing journey, self care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Advocate for yourself, set boundaries. No is a complete sentence. And you don't owe anybody anything. You owe it to yourself to love, value, and appreciate you. So, thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Classified Lady with me, Dr. H, the Global Mentor Coach. Remember to spread lots of love and light.